Hello again, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for this Friday's edition of Alaska Weather on the 7th day of May, 2021. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, we've got, let's see what comes up here. River breakup map for today, the 7th. And you can see still mostly ice along the Yukon River there from Eagle, Porcupine River, same thing, and of course all the up to the North Slope, mostly ice, and then Tanao River, mostly open, as well as the north portion of the Kuskokwim River. We've got a couple flood watches out. One is at Eagle, and that's for the Yukon River at Eagle, obviously the Yukon River, and that's out until Saturday morning, or through Saturday morning. And a couple ice jams upstream from Eagle and downstream from Dawson. When the breakup front passes Eagle, there's a chance there could be some flooding when the breakup front goes through Eagle. And there's a flood watch also out for the Kuskokwim Delta there, for the Kuskokwim River and the Kuskokwim Delta. And that's look at my cheat sheet here. And that's for Kalskag and Bethel and AKwx and Kwethluk, and that's out through Sunday afternoon. And that's ice jams could cause possible flooding in any of those areas there along the Kuskokwim River Delta through Sunday. Moving on to the hazardous weather graphic, got the two warning areas, flood watches there that I just spoke of, and up on the Arctic coast. Kaktovik, Barter Island, eastern stretch of the Arctic coast, winter weather advisory out till 4 p.m. for tonight through Saturday, until 4 p.m. Saturday afternoon. And that's for snow and blowing snow, mostly blowing snow. Be a little new snow, but it shouldn't be that much. But winds gusting to 45 miles an hour could create could result in reduced visibilities to a half mile at times in the blowing snow. And satellite imagery showing a lot of clear skies there over the northern Bering Sea into the Bering Strait. You can see what's left of the ice pack out there, really taking a beating here lately. Of course, usually does as you go through the month of May. Norton Sound, they're opening up their eastern Norton Sound and along the southwest coast. Otherwise, a front extending from low pressure there near Atka Island, or just south of Atka Island, extending across the southern Bering Sea and across the Alaska Peninsula, with some rain up into about Kodiak Island today. Another system passing mostly to the south of the Panhandle, bringing clouds and showers to the entire stretch of the Panhandle today, and that kind of links up with the disturbance that brought the light rain over south central Alaska early this morning, and Copper River Basin as well. That's lifting northward across the Alaska Range. It brought some showers in north of the Alaska Range into the east central interior areas on up to just the mountains north of Fairbanks there. Picked up anywhere from 1 to 2 tenths in the upslope areas. Anywhere from 1 to 3 tenths fell over areas of the Copper River Basin in the last 12 hours. And about the same, 1/3 of an inch falling at Valdez, Cordova. Juneau also picked up about 1/3 of an inch of precipitation. Heaviest rain was on the Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula, with Chignik picking up nearly an inch of rainfall today, while Sand Point had about, or False Pass had about 1/3 of an inch of rainfall, and about 1,500 so at St. Paul. But the heaviest rain there along the Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula and elsewhere around the state, mostly dry to just maybe some real light shower activity that didn't amount to too much. It's clearing taking place over southern Cook Inlet this afternoon, with the clouds lifting northward, and then the Cirrus Shield already starting to get into, where it is, into Kamishak Bay and about to enter southern Cook Inlet, as that front will weaken, but it'll lift more moisture northward late tonight and into tomorrow. On the chart today, some light rain, about 1,500ths of an inch worth, about Kodiak Island, heavier along the Alaska Peninsula, as I mentioned. and that's spreading up into the Pribilof Island, especially St. George, and showers across and mostly cloudy skies for the Aleutians, and it tends to end as you get out west of Kiska Island there. And some light snow to go along with those gusty winds, gusting 40 miles an hour at Point Lay, and also 40 miles an hour at Point Thompson Airstrip there on the east side. Otherwise, we had some scattered rain and snow showers over the eastern interior, links up with that trough, and some light rain and showers with that trough as it lifts northward and weakens there along the Alaska Range, and in lesser extent to the Kuskokwim Valley area, showers over the Panhandle. Kind of heaviest in the south. I think Ketchikan picked up anywhere from 3 to 4/10 of an inch of precipitation last 12 hours, and then Juneau about the same, lighter amounts elsewhere. And for tonight, again, the winter weather advisory out for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, winds gusting 45 miles an hour, and conditions improve. It'll be breezy along the entire coastline all the way down to probably Cape Lisburne, but the blowing snow looks like it'll be on the east side there, with rain and snow shower chances south of the Brooks Range into the maybe area Porcupine River area, and probably not much down to the Yukon River, and variably cloudy to mostly clear until you get toward the North Gulf Coast and Bristol Bay, Southern Cook Inlet. Pick up a chance of showers there. Better chance of showers over the Panhandle. Periods of light rain with that stalled out weakening front, Kodiak Island into Bristol Bay and the Pribilofs, and pretty unsettled for the Fox Islands, showery for the Aleutians. For tomorrow, still that front lifting northward a little bit and spread some moisture and clouds. There'll be more clouds and better into south central Alaska, with increasing chances of rain along the southern Kenai Peninsula, Kachemak, Kamishak Bay, Resurrection Bay up into Prince William Sound, Passes Canal. Probably some light rain will get into the Portage area and maybe Alyeska. North Gulf Coast, chance of rain again like you saw today, and unsettled for the Panhandle, but the interior, partly to mostly sunny, variably cloudy, and chance of shower southwest interior, and lingering snow showers and gusty winds improving during the afternoon for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast. Lingering light flurries on the eastern Beaufort Sea coast on Sunday. High pressure, mostly clear northern interior. Pick up some clouds into the central interior, mostly cloudy. Chance of shower southern Alaska into the Panhandle. Chance of rain Kodiak Island, southwest coast with an other frontal boundary, and showery mainly over the central and eastern Aleutians. Lows tonight near 40 or in the lower 40s for the Panhandle. 30s southern Alaska near 40 Kodiak Island. Upper 30s Bristol Bay. In the 30s for the central interior, teens and mid-20s for the Brooks Range, and then teens for the Arctic coast and North Slope, lower to mid-20s for the Bering Strait coastal areas, 16 Shishmaref, 33 at Nome, and in the 30s for the Bering Sea and the Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, upper 30s, lower 40s. Highs for tomorrow, 55 to 63, mostly in the mid-50s, Kenai Peninsula. Susitna Valley could see some lower 60s. Copper River Basin maybe near 60, upper 40s, lower 50s for the Panhandle, and 55 to 65 central interior, 35 to 42 for the Brooks Range, and in the 20s for the Arctic coast, mid 30s to mid 40s for the northern Bering Sea, a little above 40 for the Aleutians, upper 40s Alaska Peninsula, near 50 or lower 50s, 53 King Salmon. Lows above freezing south central Alaska on Sunday morning, near 40 or lower 40s for the Panhandle. Teens still on the Arctic coast, upper 20s northern Bering Sea, 30s in the Aleutians. Highs 50s, lower 60s southern Alaska, 40s to 50s for the Panhandle.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
On to Saturday morning's flying weather. First graphic here showing IFR North Slope, from the Brooks Range there, right on out to the Arctic coast and beyond. And a little bit of IFR there through the Bering Strait, Shishmore F on down to Gamble, maybe Savunga. And then some VFR to the south there. And then swath of IFR, all of the Aleutians, marginal for the Fox Islands, St. George, IFR, St. Paul, marginal VFR up into Kuskokwim Bay, Togiak Bay into the southwest mountains. Areas of marginal VFR in the interior, marginal VFR, Prince William Sound, eastern North Gulf Coast to the Coast Range, and Panhandle pretty marginal, IFR, southern and eastern side of Kodiak Island. For the afternoon, we've got marginal VFR for Kodiak as that band of moisture kind of breaks up a little bit, shifts up to the north, leaving Kodiak Island, Shelikof Strait, Alaska Peninsula, Bristol Bay, marginal VFR. And from Moonmac Island westward to Shimianatu and beyond, IFR, much of the Bering Sea IFR, marginal along the southwest coast, marginal VFR Seward Peninsula, St. Lawrence Island, IFR along the Brooks Range there on up across eastern North Slope to the eastern Arctic coast. Otherwise marginal VFR there along the Kuskokwim Yukon River valleys, right over to the border. And some IFR for the northern panhandle. IFR slips up to the southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula and probably up into Passage Canal. Whittier, maybe Portage with marginal VFR for the most of the panhandle. And then for Sunday morning, IFR, a little more widespread over the southeast coast, North Gulf Coast, and the southeast Copper River Basin. Marginal VFR south of the Alaska Range, east of the range also Cook Inlet. Some IFR eastern slopes of the western Alaska Range. And VFR there, Kuskokwim Valley, and along and just south of the Yukon River, right up into the interior. IFR, Brooks Range on out to the Arctic coast, possibly northern Kobuk, Koyukuk Valley areas as well. IFR, Seward Peninsula, Bering Sea, the Aleutians, south side of the Alaska Peninsula, the southwest Kodiak Island. And for the afternoon, Kodiak still looks IFR, southern Kenai Peninsula, again up into maybe western Prince William Sound, possibly Passage Canal, Kamishak Bay, marginal and IFR conditions for the Panhandle and actually southern Alaska, marginal VFR south of the Alaska Range there and into the southwest interior. Some IFR lingering on the central north slope, Bering Sea, central and western areas, pretty much IFR. And for passes, looking IFR for Adigan tomorrow, especially on the northern entrance. Same for Adigan, lowest conditions, northern approach of both those passes. Lake Clark and Merrill, we've got VFR becoming marginal. And for Rainy, VFR, windy VFR, Isabel VFR, but southern approach VFR becoming marginal. And for Mentasta, VFR becomes marginal VFR. And Tanita, we've got VFR again trending down toward marginal VFR into the afternoon. Portage, marginal becoming IFR there, especially on the eastern entrance. And for Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR to IFR. Freezing levels 2,000 to 4,000 feet central and southern interior. And you can see the surface just about up to the Brooks Range there, northern Bering Sea. Icing, one band there sliding into the Panhandle, Kodiak Island, light to isolated moderate rime icing, maybe mixed. And also with that disturbance clipping the eastern Arctic coast, look for possible icing potential up in that area of mostly the light to very isolated moderate variety there. And along the southwest coast, weak system into the central Aleutians. Jet stream, upper trough there over the eastern Arctic coast. One over the Panhandle, quite weak, Kodiak Island, another one over the eastern Aleutians, high pressure over the western Bering Sea. Main jet, in short, the main jet's well south of the forecast area there. So pretty light winds at that elevation. And at 9,000 feet, 20 to 35 knot winds around that low there, just over the eastern Aleutian areas, or just west of Nikolsky. And 20 to 25 knots east southeast Kenai Peninsula and across southern Kuskokwim Valley area. Otherwise light winds in the 3,000 feet, maybe up to 45 knots, a narrow band there from Kamishak Bay into northeast Bristol Bay, and then 20 to 35 knot winds central Bering Sea. And turbulence wise, possible light to isolated moderate chop, western Arctic coast down to about Cape Lisburn, maybe Point Hope, Bristol Bay, Kamishak Bay, Alaska Peninsula, Aleutian Range, east side of Kodiak Island, light to isolated moderate chop, as well as for Adak and Atka. And after the break, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
Why is plastic marine debris so common? We know there's trash in the ocean. Unfortunately, a lot of it is plastic. We find plastic everywhere, from the ocean floor to surface. The plastics are all shapes and sizes and all different types. We find plastics on beaches, and also inside animals' stomachs or wrapped around their bodies. That's bad news for our ocean and the animals that live in it and near it. It's also bad news for us. A recent study from the University of Georgia estimated that 8 million metric tons of plastic trash enters the ocean every year. That's like putting 5 bags filled with plastic on every foot of coastline in the world. That's a lot of plastic in the ocean, and it's there because, well, we put it there. The 5 most common items found during the International Coastal Cleanup are plastic cigarette butts, food wrappers, plastic beverage bottles, plastic bottle caps, and plastic straws and drink stirrers. Notice anything in common with those? It's a lot of single-use, disposable plastic. It goes without saying, we produce too much waste. That waste ends up in the ocean when we litter or don't recycle. Plastic is an important part of our modern lives. We use it for a lot of good things. But we need to take responsibility for how much we use every day and where it goes when we're done with it. The 3 R's can help, and it's up to every single one of us to practice them. Reduce your use of disposable plastic. That's anything you use once and throw away. Just use less. Reuse disposable plastics when possible. A plastic bottle makes a great coin piggy bank or watering can. The possibilities are endless. Recycle anything that can be recycled so it stays out of landfills, where trash can blow away. Ocean plastic is a huge problem that's only going to get worse. Unless we change our ways, we can do better for the ocean and for us. Why is plastic marine debris so common? We know there's trash in the ocean. Unfortunately, a lot of it is plastic. We find plastic everywhere, from the ocean floor to surface. The plastics are all shapes and sizes and all different types. We find plastics on beaches, and also inside animals' stomachs or wrapped around their bodies. That's bad news for our ocean and the animals that live in it and near it. It's also bad news for us. A recent study from the University of Georgia estimated that 8 million metric tons of plastic trash enters the ocean every year. That's like putting 5 bags filled with plastic on every foot of coastline in the world. That's a lot of plastic in the ocean, and it's there because, well, we put it there. The 5 most common items found during the International Coastal Cleanup are plastic cigarette butts, food wrappers, plastic beverage bottles, plastic bottle caps, and plastic straws and drink stirrers. Notice anything in common with those? It's a lot of single-use, disposable plastic. It goes without saying, we produce too much waste. That waste ends up in the ocean when we litter or don't recycle. Plastic is an important part of our modern lives. We use it for a lot of good things. But we need to take responsibility for how much we use every day and where it goes when we're done with it. The 3 R's can help, and it's up to every single one of us to practice them. Reduce your use of disposable plastic. That's anything you use once and throw away. Just use less. Reuse disposable plastics when possible. A plastic bottle makes a great coin piggy bank or watering can. The possibilities are endless. Recycle anything that can be recycled so it stays out of landfills, where trash can blow away. Ocean plastic is a huge problem that's only going to get worse. Unless we change our ways, we can do better for the ocean and for us.
What is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch?
Well, first,
let's talk about what it's not. It's not a floating island of trash like a garbage dump or a landfill. It's also not the only patch. They exist all throughout the ocean, and the Pacific garbage patch just happens to be the most famous. Garbage patches are large areas of marine debris concentration that are formed by rotating ocean currents called gyres, kind of like big whirlpools that suck things in. A garbage patch is made up of tiny plastic pieces called microplastics that are less than 5 millimeters long. It's more like pepper flakes swirling in a soup than something you can skim off the surface. You might come across some larger items like plastic bottles, but it's possible to sail through a garbage patch and not see anything. And they're a big problem for the ocean and us. People often ask why we can't just scoop up all the marine debris in the ocean. And the answer is, unfortunately, it's just not that simple. The first challenge is the sheer size of these garbage patches. They're huge. They're constantly moving with ocean currents. And there's debris from the ocean surface all the way down to the sea floor. Not to mention all the marine life we would disrupt if we tried to just scoop up debris. So what can we do? Well, the ultimate solution is prevention. And we need to keep that as our highest priority. We can reduce, reuse, and recycle to keep trash out of the ocean in the first place. And we can participate in things like shoreline cleanups. It's a lot easier to deal with debris before it gets to the ocean. Because until we stop marine debris at the source, we'll just be cleaning it up forever.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Looking at today's sea ice analysis. Still breaking up there, thinning out along the southwest coast and south of St. Lawrence Island, with the main ice edge there retreating back to the north. Moving on to the coastal water forecasts for the, let's see, there we go. Inside waters, Passage Canal, or I'm sorry, Stevens Passage, Anlin Canal, southerlies 10 knots, seas at about 2 feet. Small craft advisories over Clarence Strait for 25 knot southerly winds with seas at about 6 feet. Small craft advisories along the outer coastline. On the south coast from the west, 25 knots, seas at 6 feet, and east-southeast 25 knots on the north coast. And then for Sunday, 10 to 15 knot winds from the south-southeast over the inside water areas, 2 to 3 foot seas. Also light winds out along the coast, southerly, 10 to 15 knots, but on the north coast, southeast to 20 with seas at 8 feet. Prince William Sound, northeast winds 15 knots, seas 2 feet, east at 20 for the Middleton Island area, western North Gulf Coast, small craft advisories, northeast winds 25 knots, and easterly winds 25 to 30 knots for the Barren Islands and Kamishak Bay, small craft advisories there, otherwise Cook Inlet, northeasterlies at 20 with 4 foot seas. And that becomes a variable wind pattern for Cook Inlet on Sunday at 10 knots or less, seas 2 to 3 feet or less. Prince William Sound, variable to east, 10 knots, seas pretty slight there. And southeast 15 for the eastern North Gulf Coast. Otherwise, for the western North Gulf Coast, east at 20. Barren Islands, southeast 20. And for Kamishak Bay, east at 20 knots with seas running 5 to 7 feet in those areas. Gale warnings for Shelikof Strait tomorrow for Saturday. Northeast 35 knots, 9 foot seas. Small craft advisories east side of Kodiak Island, southeast 25. And south to southeast winds for the Alaska Peninsula at 20 knots. Seas 5 to 10 feet, highest on the Pacific side. Bristol Bay, east winds 20 knots with 5 foot seas. And for Sunday, go small craft advisories for the Alaska Peninsula, south to southeasterlies, 25 knots, 5 to 10 foot seas. And east at 30 for Bristol Bay with 6 foot seas. Winds come down to 20 knots for Shelikof Strait with 5 foot seas. Castle Cape to Sitkinak and up the east side of Kodiak Island. Southeast winds 25 knots with seas just under 10 feet. And for the Fox Islands, start out with Unalaska Island, southerlies 15 to 20 knots tomorrow. Variable at 10 for Unmak Island. Seas there running 4 to 9 feet. And for the Central Aleutians, north to northwest, at 20, and for Amchitka, Kiska, Shimianatu, northerlies 20 knots with 6 foot seas. Outlook for Sunday: Shimia, Attu Island, Kiska, west 15, Amchitka Island, northwest at 20, west northwest 20 knots for Adakanatka. Fox Islands, variable winds 10 to 15 knots, or maybe even 5 to 15 knots with 4 to 7 foot seas. Southwest coast, small craft advisories there. Southern Nunivak Island, easterlies at 25 knots. Small crafts also for St. Matthew Island, northeast at 25. Pribilos, northeast at 20. Same thing for St. Lawrence Island, northeast winds 20 knots, but only 10 knots for Norton Sound. On Sunday, northeast 20 for St. Lawrence Island, east 15 for Norton Sound. Small craft advisories for the southwest coast. For east winds, 25 to 30 knots there. Strongest south of Nunivak Island, seas 4 to 7 feet. Northeast at 20 for St. Matthew Island. Northeast 15 for the Pribilofs with 5-foot seas. Brisk wind advisories for portions of the Arctic coast. Central coast will be the lightest wind area out of the east at 20 knots tomorrow. 25 knot winds. For the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, west side 25 increased to 30 knots from Cape Beaufort to Cape Thompson to Wales, east at 10. Northeast winds 10 knots, Wales to Cape Thompson, and from Cape Thompson right up to, say, Point Lay or so, roughly 20 knots out of the east, 15 knots. So lighter winds in store for the central and eastern Beaufort Sea coast, especially the east side on Sunday for those 15 knot winds. For tonight, winter weather advisory there for Kaktovik, Barter Island, eastern stretch of the Arctic coast there, and maybe into the north slope for winds gusting 45 miles an hour. Snow blowing snow, reducing visibility to a half mile at times. Otherwise dry in the interior. And showers, North Gulf Coast, are a little more widespread, numerous over the Panhandle. Periods of light rain, Kodiak Island into Bristol Bay to the Pribilof. Showers for the Aleutian, southern Bering Sea. Front gets hung up across southern Alaska there and really breaks up down coast of the Panhandle. So periods of rain or showers in the south, partly mostly sunny central interior, and lingering snow flurries up on the eastern Beaufort Sea coast with lighter winds. And that continues into Sunday. Chance of snow showers, not too bad over the north central interior.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.